I love cock. Can't deny it. Can't escape it. Not guys, as such, but cock. I am married, love my wife and family, and will do nothing to endanger them or my marriage. But I love cock. Am I repeating myself? With local university connections, I can use the 5 different gyms and workout centers on campus, in addition to the 3 pools they have. I admit that I spend way more time looking at the co-eds than anyone else at the pools. I use the gyms either early in the morning, arriving well before 8 a.m., or later after dinner, close to 8 p.m. I try to pick on certain days when they are less crowded. After my workouts, I always shower before going home. Of course, in using the showers, there is generally the expectation that other guys will be showering also. I have never looked at guys as I might look at girls, thinking how much I'd love to bed them. They are just other naked men showering. Some fit, others, like me, not so fit. I'm not a fat slob, just an older, out-of-shape guy. One evening, I finished my workout a bit later than usual. I went into the locker room, stripped and headed to the showers. Some guys wear towels around their waist and flip-flops on their feet. I walk naked, carrying my towel. I entered the shower room, which had 3 shower heads on each wall, one of which was used by a black guy, I assumed to be maybe a grad student, about 30 or 32 years of age. I didn't say anything to him, hung my towel on the hook, and turned the water on, and when it got to temperature, I began soaping up. As I soaped up, I turned my back to the shower head and faced the other guy, who was turned toward me, looking up and lathering his hair. I saw his penis. Well, not a penis, but a cock. Well, not just a cock, but a big one. Now, I stand well over 6 feet tall, this other guy was maybe 5 feet 10, average body type, short hair, and clean shaven. I turned away fast so as not to make him think I was checking him out. I didn't want to cause a scene or get him mad. He rinsed off, finished before I did, and left the shower room. I finished a few minutes later and left, drying myself as I walked back to my locker, leaving wet footprints on the floor. Reaching my locker, this same black man was still nude, drying off. I said, "Hello," and he said, "Hi, back." I opened my locker and sat on the bench. As soon as I did, he moved in front of me to open his locker door, which was right next to mine. His cock was right in front of me as he leaned over, no more than a foot from my mouth. I mean eyes. I turned my head down and, thank God, didn't pop a woody right there. He grabbed his clothes, pulled them back, moved a few feet away, and got dressed. After he finished dressing, he turned and left. I was still sitting there, picturing his beautiful cock right before me. I am relatively inexperienced in man-to-man sex, but I enjoyed what little I have been involved in. My problem was that I demanded cleanliness, both physically and medically. Still, the guys I approached on Craigslist didn't seem to care about being healthy. Few got tested, and many played with random strangers. That turned me off, so I was limited in who I could enjoy being with. Having said that, I had a particular fetish for black cock. Big, small, it was irrelevant. Black cock was my fantasy. Uncut would only be icing on the cake. You see, I'd never seen a real live uncut cock in my life. Not even in high school locker rooms after gym class. Anyway, I finished drying off, dressed and left. I could say that was it, but I'd be lying. I thought about that black cock on the way home and the next day. I couldn't get it out of my mind. I wish I'd said something to him, but I probably would have gotten myself beat up and never be able to return to that gym. You never know how things might turn out. The following evening, I went to the gym a little earlier. I finished my workout, showered, and, as I was leaving, ran into the same guy as the night before. He looked at me, smiling. "Leaving already?" he said. "I thought you might be back tonight. Maybe we'll run into each other again." And he continued into the locker room. My head was swirling. What did he mean? Was he hitting on me? No way. I was making something out of nothing. Still, I knew I shouldn't. I should stay away. The next night, I went to the gym later than usual. I changed and went into the workout room, and there he was. I hope I didn't blush. I got really nervous, so I couldn't concentrate on my workout. He saw me across the room and smiled at me. I thought I would pass out. I was running all kinds of things through my mind. Did he want me? Fuck. That was ridiculous. Was he just being friendly? Maybe. Who knows? I couldn't concentrate worth a shit. I smiled back and raised a hand in a bit of a wave. I lay on the bench, pressing weight, not paying attention to anything when I heard a deep voice. Can I give you a hand? Need a spotter for that? He asked. I opened my eyes, looked up, right up the pant legs of his shorts directly at his gorgeous black cock hanging above me. I almost dropped the barbell. He caught it. Sorry. Didn't mean to startle you, he said. I stammered some gibberish, I am sure, and told him, I was just finishing up, anyway. Good, he said. Let's hit the showers. Oh my fucking god. Him. Me. In the showers together. I mentally slapped myself. Hard. Several times. He was smiling at me. Yeah, it's time, I said. And we went to the showers. I went to my locker, and, like the last time, he had the one next to me. Apparently, we were both creatures of habit and took the same lockers. We undressed, hung our workout gear in the lockers and walked to the showers. I caught that he didn't cover himself with his towel tonight. We entered the showers, both taking the same shower heads we used the last time. I faced the wall, lathering up. I turned my back to the wall, faced him, looking at me. He smiled. My name is Jim, he said. Hi. My name is Don, I replied. Nice to meet you. Yeah, he smiled. You come here often. I try every day, if I can, I said. Usually in the morning, but at night, if I miss the morning. I noticed he was spending an inordinate amount of time lathering his cock, which defiantly was getting firm. I was getting firm. No, I was getting hard. I looked up. He was staring at me with a slight smile. I spun away, blushing and embarrassed. I heard his voice, it's okay. No matter. I rinsed off quickly and almost ran from the shower room. Sitting on the bench, drying myself, I sensed his presence. I looked up. He was a step from me, that magnificent cock almost totally erect. I know my mouth opened, and my jaw dropped. It really is all right, he said. I don't mind if you look. You're not the first guy to look at this cock. I slowly raised my head. Are you gay? I asked somewhat timidly. No, not really, but I have had, let's say, some experience with men. He moved closer. His now hard cock was less than a few inches from my mouth. I could open my mouth and swallow him. Well, maybe that might be premature, but I could undoubtedly suck on him. I turned away. No. Please. I babbled. I can't. Yes, you can. We're alone. You know you want it. I know you want it. Just take it in your mouth. No, not here. Someone might catch us. Ah, you might be right. He sounded somewhat disappointed. How about going to my place? I am walking distance away. No, I need to get home. No, you don't. Okay. How about we grab a bite to eat, drink, or just talk some? That seemed safe. At least he didn't seem like he was going to beat me. Alright, let's grab a bite. We finished dressing in silence. I watched his cock bobbing and swinging as he moved. I couldn't help myself. We exited the gym and started to turn left. I told him, let me throw my bag in my car. I walked into the parking lot, popped the trunk, and threw my bag in. Ready. Let's go. We walked down the sidewalk in the growing darkness. A few hundred yards, he turned. Let's go in here. I looked at him. This isn't a restaurant. What's this? My apartment. Upstairs, he motioned with his head. But, I started. He took me gently but firmly, pushing me through the doorway and up the stairs. Top of the stairs, turn right, he said. Almost in a trance, he urged me up the stairs. Turning right, there was only one door. After picking out the right key on his key ring, he opened the door. Welcome to my home, he said, turning the lights on. It was a nice place, clean and neat, especially for a single guy. Have a seat, he said, I'll be right back. He re-entered, carrying a couple of boxes. Here, he said, handing one to me. Open it up. It is a home test kit for HIV. You'll know that I am safe. I'll know you are safe. We opened them up without saying anything to each other. After I opened my box, I turned to him, but before I could say anything, he said, I rarely play with men. Haven't for several years. But when I saw you looking at me the first night, something started burning at the base of my cock, which I had to satisfy. I knew you wanted me. Sue, I went out and bought some HIV test kits at the drug store. I don't know about you, but I enjoy exchanging bodily fluids between adults. That okay with you? I was happy at this turn of events, especially the testing. I had been prepared to tell him no to playing without testing, but he had preemptively solved that issue. Yes, very good, thank you. While at the same time thinking how presumptive he had been. Ah, who was I kidding? I wanted him, he wants me, let's get it on. We talked as the test set, waiting for the results. After 20 minutes, both showed a single bar on the test strip, indicating we were both HIV negative. Jim started taking off his clothing. Just like that. Well, I guess there is no whining and dining in these kinds of things. He was nude and getting erect as I began to disrobe. You know I love your cock, right? I said as I undressed. I knew that the first night in the showers. I just wasn't sure if you were homosexual or just curious, that's all. I am not a homo, I replied. But I do enjoy sucking cock. And, I have a fantasy about sucking a black cock, and I like the looks of yours. I am married. I need to be careful. Understood. No one will know but you and me. Whether it is this one time or a regular thing that we get together. A shiver ran down my spine as he said, regular, maybe we can do this again. Oh, this was looking good. Real good. I stood and stepped toward him. Kneeling, I gently touched his cock. Immediately, it began rising to full hardness. It was very nice, indeed. I held it and brought my head towards him. Can I taste you? I asked. Yes, came out of his mouth like a hiss. Please. Suck me, nice. I placed the tip of my tongue on the end of his cock, licking it all over the head. I was in heaven. I could feel my cock was rock hard. I laved the head of his cock with my saliva, then the moment of truth. I started to slide his thick member into my mouth. It was thick. I loved it. I was wide open, my lips forming a seal around the circumference of his shaft. He wasn't, contrary to myth and lore, that long, but he was thick. I wanted to see how far I could take him in. I prided myself in my deep-throating abilities, but this was thick. I was gagging before it was halfway in. Determined to get him all in, I began going back and forth, sucking on him, getting as much saliva on that cock as I could produce. Slowly I worked him into my mouth and into my throat. Damn, this was difficult. I felt his hands on the back of my head, not pulling but urging me to take more. I had to rest. My jaw ached. I needed air. I pulled back. I looked up at his disappointed face. It's all right. No one else has ever taken it all, he said. More determined than ever, I took him back in. Relaxing my throat as much as I could, I put my hands on his ass cheeks and pulled him into my mouth. And pulled. And pulled. I grabbed quick breaths of air when I could, but I was taking him in. I could relax my throat enough, but getting air was the problem. After I don't know how long, my lips touched his pubes at the base of his cock. I had done it. I took him all the way in. I held him for a moment until I ran out of air. Backing off, I looked into his eyes. I knew you could do it, he said. I knew it the first time you looked at my cock. You had the hunger. You would do it. I happily went back to sucking him. I played with his balls and sucked his cock. He was moaning almost continuously. After a bit of gagging and slurping, he grabbed my head tightly. I'm gonna come, he said, soon. I no longer had to do any work, he held my head. And fucked my throat. I just relaxed and enjoyed him using my mouth and throat. Way too soon, he groaned. Coming, and I felt and tasted the thick mass of his cum filling my mouth and sliding down my throat at that exact second. It tasted wonderful. After swirling his cum in my mouth, savoring the taste, I swallowed. Jim picked me up off the floor and helped me to his couch. Kneeling between my legs, He apparently noticed my smooth cock and balls, contrasting to my overall hairy body, for the first time. I like the looks of this, he said, looking at my balls. He handled them gently, stroking underneath my sack with his fingertips. How'd you get them so smooth? He asked. I use a hair removal liquid from the drug store. Really? I didn't know they made anything to use on genitals or facial areas, he said. Probably they don't. I know I have received some chemical burns using these products in the past. He looked quizzically at me. I use Nair body cream for men, I told him. Use it on my cock, balls and around my asshole, no problems. Oh my, he said. Let me see. He grabbed my ankles, lifting my feet up until he got a good look at my ass. He reached under me, caressing my ass. Yes. Nice and smooth. He put my feet down and bent and swallowed my cock in the same motion. Not entirely taking it all the way in, he began sucking me off. He used a nice technique, but he raised my legs, licking and gently sucking my balls all too soon. I could get used to this, he said, licking me hungrily. I next felt his tongue on my taint, bringing a soft moan of pleasure from me. Then, before I could really get into it, his tongue plunged into my asshole. Jim ate my ass like a man possessed. I couldn't get enough of this. I've had girls lick my bottom hole somewhat before and guys fingering me, but this was eminently enjoyable. He sucked my hole like he was trying to separate it from my body, alternating it with trying to stick his tongue in my ass. I couldn't get enough of this. My cock was the hardest it has ever been, I think. Jim pulled off and looked at my hard-on, saying, somebody likes that. I sat there with, I am sure, a goofy grin on my face. Jim flipped me over and pulled my hips back so my chest was on the couch. I felt him pull me to him, his cock touching my asshole. It was erotic, but I'd not been lubed. Before I could say anything, Jim was forcing his thick cock deep into me. Apparently, he'd loosened me up enough with his tongue, and relaxed my ass muscle, that he got in without any severe pain. After a bit of in and out, I felt his bush tickle me around my asshole. Hang on, he said and began that rhythmic in and out. He was rubbing my prostate perfectly. His balls slapped my balls as he rode my ass. I relaxed my formerly tight hole, enjoying the stretching and pressure in my asshole. My cock hung between my legs, hard and dripping. He increased his speed, making a slapping sound as his stomach struck my ass cheeks. I gripped the couch. I was getting close to coming, just from an ass fucking. He grabbed my pelvic bones and announced, I am coming. I felt a feeling like a bolt of lightning through the base of my cock, and I started shooting globs of thick white cum on his rug. My ass sphincter started contracting, squeezing his cock as he plumbed my asshole. Oh fuck. Now. Coming. He hollered. I felt warm in my raw ass as he filled my ass and coated the raw lining with his seed. He collapsed on top of me, panting like a horse just finishing a race at Saratoga Raceway. He stayed inside my ass until my involuntary contractions in my ass forced his softening cock out of my ass. Soon, I felt warm cum draining out my, I am sure, gaping hole. It tickled as it ran down my balls to drip onto the floor, adding to the cum I had already deposited there. I think we're going to need to do this again, Jim said. Soon, I replied in agreement.